After a 6.5 hour bus ride through the Bolivian desert, I arrived in Tarija, exhausted and covered in dust. But the first thing I noticed wasn't the warm tropical air, it was the birds.
Places, places, here we go. Me and my dog on another road. Questionable calls, but the stories stay. Chases places, hey, run away. Hey, chases places, run away. Hey.
Yes, birds. After living in the Andes for the last 6 months, where the air tests your lungs and sometimes your sanity, you start to realize that the simple sound of singing birds is actually pretty rare at those altitudes. So the first thing I noticed when I arrived in Tarija was the chorus, and in that moment, I knew this place was going to be different. Tarija was founded in 1574 by Spanish conquistadors and quickly became an agricultural hub in this fertile valley. For centuries, it remained somewhat isolated from the rest of Bolivia, developed a culture that feels just a little different from the highland cities further north. Today, Tarija is known for something the conquistadors probably would have appreciated: wine. Lots of it. In fact, this quiet valley produces most of Bolivia's wine, turning an otherwise sleepy corner of the country into the unofficial wine capital. Long before the fancy vineyards, and even the conquistadors, this land belonged to giants. The Tarija region has produced some of the most important fossil discoveries in the world, massive remains of prehistoric creatures that have become something of a symbol of Bolivia. Walking through the museum, it's hard to imagine just how different this place once was, when giants roamed through what is now farmland and quiet streets. Today, Tarija is known for something a little less prehistoric: wine, and lots of it. This warm valley tucked away in the southern Bolivia produces most of the country's wine. A combination of sun-soaked days, cool mountain nights, and high-altitude vineyards has quietly turned Tarija into the center of Bolivia's wine industry. And like most good stories, it didn't start big. One of the pioneers here is Bodega Aranjuez. Founded in 1979, it began as a small operation producing just a few hundred bottles of wine. Nothing fancy, just an experiment to see if the valley could really produce something special. Fast forward a few decades, and Aranjuez is now producing more than 6,000 bottles a day. Along the way, it earned Bolivia's first ever international gold medal for wine, helping put Tarija and Bolivian wine on the map. Not bad for a valley most people outside the country have never even heard of. Fun fact, the vines that produce the best grapes get marked with a rose. After a day wandering through the vineyards, museums, and quiet streets, there's really only one logical next step: steak. And when you discover that one of the country's best steakhouses is sitting just a short walk from your Airbnb, you don't ask too many questions. You book the reservation. Casona del Molino takes its beef seriously. No unnecessary garnish, no complicated presentation, just a perfectly cooked cut of steak in the region that knows cattle better than most. After a long day of exploring Tarija, it tastes even better. And the best part of all, it'll cost less than a Big Mac. Tarija isn't the Bolivia most travelers imagine. It's not cold like La Paz. You won't find the endless Instagram-worthy horizons of the salt flats here. No. Instead, you find a warm valley, quiet streets, vineyards climbing the hillsides, and a rhythm of life that just moves, well, slower. And maybe that's exactly what makes Tarija better. Because sometimes the places you remember most aren't the famous ones. It's the ones that surprise you.